Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a very cute girl named Karen. She lived in a tiny house with her mother and was a very happy girl. She would ask her mother about everything she was curious about.
Mom, what are these tiny lights in the sky?
They are stars, Karen. Everyone who lives on Earth eventually turns into a star and shines in the sky forever. Karen only had one toy, one dress, and a pair of wooden slippers she wore on the street. The wooden slippers her mother made for her were not very comfortable, but they were the only ones she had. One day, Karen's mother got very sick. So Karen went to town to buy medicine for her mother, and along the way, she found a pair of red shoes in a box on the roadside. The shoes shone so beautifully that Karen couldn't help but bring them home with her.
Look, Mommy, I found these by the roadside. Aren't they beautiful? Just right for me.
These may belong to someone else, Karen. You should immediately take them back.
But if they had an owner, she wouldn't have left them there with the box.
Maybe the owner dropped it accidentally.
Then they shouldn't have dropped it. I found them. They belong to me now. They're mine.
Baby, listen to me carefully. I may not be able to buy you new shoes right now, but I don't want you to wear someone else's shoes just because of that. Please, don't be stubborn. Promise you won't wear these red shoes. Karen sadly promised her mother not to wear red shoes and hid them under her bed. Months passed by until one day Karen came home and couldn't find her mother in the house. She looked all over until she realized that her mother had become a bright star. The next day, on her way to her mother's funeral, Karen put on those red shoes. Those who came to the funeral couldn't take their eyes off Karen's shoes.
How dare she wear red shoes?
So disrespectful.
But Karen did not care because she loved her shoes. A good-hearted old woman passed by the cemetery. This old woman learned that this little girl was now an orphan and wanted to adopt her.
Come with me, pretty girl. I will do my best to make you successful and beautiful when you grow up.
So Karen went to live with the old woman for many years.
Karen, you've been wearing these shoes since your mother's funeral. You need to take them off now. They're so dirty. No, I love my red shoes. Oh, Karen, don't be so stubborn. Come on, change your shoes. I'll buy better shoes, I promise.
Karen did not want to offend the old woman who had been so kind to adopt her. So she finally took off her red shoes and threw them away. Days passed until one day, Karen was playing in her new room with her new clothes and toys, and the old woman brought her a new pair of shoes. But Karen didn't like these shoes at all.
But these are blue. Very ugly. I don't like them at all.
So for years to come, Karen missed her red shoes a lot. She grew into a beautiful young lady, but her stubborn attitude never changed. Even when the old lady brought her gifts.
I don't want to wear this thing, but I knit this for you.
I'll never eat this food. Make me French fries.
At least take a little bite, darling.
The old woman was very upset when Karen got up from the table without having a meal. She made French fries for her and took them to her room. At that time, Karen was taking off her blue shoes.
Look! See? All my things are so small now.
I've grown up.
Well, come on then. Let's buy you new clothes and shoes.
Then the old woman and Karen went to the store. Oh, look! Just like my favorite red shoes. I must have them. Let's get these.
Karen, you don't need fancy red shoes. You need shoes that you can wear respectfully. Like, if we need to go to a funeral. I can only buy you one pair of shoes. Let's buy those black ones and go home. I am very tired.
I don't care. If you don't buy both shoes, I'll walk barefoot everywhere from now on.
Little girl, I wish you weren't so stubborn.
The old woman bought the black shoes for Karen and spent the last of her money to appease her with the red sparkly shoes, too. They had to walk home on foot. The old woman's feet hurt a lot along the way, and she could not keep up with the spoiled Karen. And Karen didn't care. She walked on home with her new red shoes. One day, the old woman told Karen that they needed to attend a funeral in town.
Karen, be sure to put on your black shoes. Otherwise, it will be disrespectful at the funeral.
Karen looked at the black shoes in her room, and then at the bright red ones. She chose to put on the red shoes. When they left the house, she covered them up with her skirt, so the old woman would not see the shoes. However, at the funeral, everyone saw Karen's shoes, shining brightly under her skirt. They spoke amongst themselves about Karen's red shoes at the funeral and about how disrespectful the shoes were. When what was said came to the old woman's ear, she got very angry.
You didn't listen to what I told you, and you put on the red shoes again. You're so stubborn, Karen. Show some respect.
A handsome young lord passing by at that time was struck by Karen's beauty. He came to her and went down on his knees and gave her compliments.
How beautiful you are, and so delicate in these beautiful shoes.
My lord, you make me blush.
You must be a very good dancer. I invite you to the dance night in the palace tonight. Please come.
With the happiness of the Lord's offer, Karen started dancing with joy. But after a while, Karen couldn't stop dancing. Why can't I stop my feet? What is happening? Oh! Karen started walking away from the old lady and the Lord while she was dancing.
Karen, come back.
Even though the Lord chased Karen for a while, he lost her. Karen's red shoes turned out to be more stubborn than Karen. They took her until top of the mountain and made her dance day and night for 3 days. Karen's feet hurt so much that she screamed at every step. Even though they got into the mud and prickly needles stuck, the shoes kept dancing. Enough! I'm very tired. I won't be so stubborn from now on. I promise. Please stop. Shoes, please stop. Stop. And when Karen said she'd give up all her stubbornness, the red shoes jumped off her feet, and Karen, too, fell to the ground. And the red shoes kept on dancing without her. Karen found a stick and managed to limp home in pain. Her legs hurt a lot. She started to cry with happiness when she saw her house. The old woman greeted her at the door. They hugged each other. I know I was very stubborn, girl, but I promise I won't be like that anymore. After Karen gave up her stubbornness, things started to get better. One day, someone knocked on the door. It was the young and handsome lord.
Well, there you are, Karen. I tried to keep up, but you danced so fast. How did you do that?
Karen was glad to see the handsome and young lord. That was the day the Lord and Karen's love began, leaving stubbornness behind. Karen lived a happy and peaceful life. Once upon a time, a father and his 2 young daughters were living together in a land far, far away. One of the girls was very diligent, and the other was very lazy.
You barely help at all, and I'm exhausted. Oh no! You are already doing the cleaning. Why should I get my hands dirty now?
Their old father was a hard worker, and he was always tired. The only meal they had was soup and some dry bread in the evenings. One day, the old father made a request of his daughters.
My dear daughters, you know I love you both so very much. I've been thinking. You are both adults now, and it is time for you to take more responsibility. I want both of you to find a job and work.
You are right, Daddy. I will find myself a job.
And what about you, my daughter?
My sister should get a job, 'cause, that's so her thing. But I think I'd better do the housework, Daddy.
The old man was happy to see his daughters so eager. The next day, while the diligent girl left home to find a job, her father came to her.
My dear daughter, I have some advice for you. Never refuse someone who asks you for help. Always be diligent. Love your job. Do the job that was given to you to the best of your abilities.
Thank you, Daddy. I will never forget your advice.
That's my girl. Bye-bye.
The diligent daughter set off to find her job, while the lazy daughter, who said that she would do the household chores, did nothing. The house was getting more and more messy and getting dirty every day. The diligent girl walked for days, but had not found anyone to work for. After a while, the diligent girl saw a tree with dried branches and roots.
Hello, young girl. Can you clean my dry branches and give me some water to my roots?
The diligent girl then cleaned all the dry branches of the tree until her palms were bruised, and watered the roots with her own drinking water.
Thank you, young girl. But now you have no water left.
It's okay. You needed help, and I helped you. I can walk a little more and find water for myself. The diligent girl continued on her way. Farther on, she came across a hearth with broken and cracked parts.
Hey, young girl, can you repair me and make me look better?
The diligent girl took a handful of mud near her and patched all the cracks on the hearth.
Thank you, young girl. But you got so dirty because of me.
Oh, it's okay. Clothes don't matter. You needed help, and I helped. The diligent girl left the brand new hearth behind and continued on her way. After a while, a lovely lamb appeared, but the lamb was black, like coal, from head to toe.
Hello, young girl. I accidentally got into the coals and got dirty. Would you bathe me in that lake over there?
The diligent girl washed the lamb by the lake. The lamb was white and soft as before.
Thank you, but You're drenched because of me. You needed help, and I helped. I was already very dirty. Now I'm cleaner.
The diligent girl continued on her way. When it got dark, she came across a beautiful house. Oh, where 7 fairies lived. The diligent girl entered.
Hello. I apologize for coming to your home without permission. I am a young girl looking for a job to work. You can work here if you want, young girl. There are 7 rooms in our house. You will only clean 6 rooms every day, but you must not go into the 7th room.
The diligent girl accepted the job. She cleaned 6 rooms diligently every day, as fairies said, for a full year. She never entered the 7th room. And when she had enough money, she asked permission from the fairies to return home.
Of course, young girl. You can go home. I'm wondering why you never entered the 7th room.
My father used to say to do the job right, no matter what. During my time here, my job was to clean only 6 rooms. And that's what I did. That's what you told me to do.
We would like to reward you for your honesty and diligence. Come on, come with us.
The fairies asked the young girl to enter the 7th room. When the girl entered, she saw a lot of silver and gold coins.
Now, you roll around in these coins, and any that stick to you will be yours.
Diligent girl tumbled left and right in coins. She looked almost like a star with the money sticking on her. Then the diligent girl left the fairies to return home. On the way, she came across the lamb she had washed before. The lamb was covered with pearls.
I did not forget your help, young girl. Take and get as many pearls as you want.
The diligent girl thanked the lamb and covered her arms and neck with pearls and continued on her way. This time, she came across the hearth she had previously repaired.
I did not forget the help you gave me, young girl. Take it. My warm breads, my lovely cakes are yours.
The diligent girl ate some of the bread given by the hearth and took some of it to take home and continued on her way. A little further ahead, she saw the tree. Its branches were covered with fruit.
Come, young girl. I did not forget the help you gave me. Take it. All my grape juice is yours.
The diligent girl thanked the tree and finally returned home.
Thank you very much. What a fruitful experience.
Her father and lazy sister greeted her at the door. The girl's bundle was full of gold and pearls. The lazy sister was very jealous when she saw that her sister was so rich.
Look at all those coins. I must go find a wealthy family to get a job from. If my sister has pearls, I will get emeralds.
The lazy girl told her father that she is leaving home to look for a job.
Oh, okay, my daughter. But you couldn't even work at home. How will you find a job out there?
The lazy girl left before her dad could even finish talking. She walked day and night. A little further down the road, she came across a tree with dry branches. The tree asked the girl for help.
Hello, young girl. Would you clean my...
I can't deal with you under the sun. My hair will get messy. Bye.
The lazy girl moved on. She saw a cracked and broken hearth a little further. Hearth asked her for help.
I can't get my thin and delicate hands dirty for you. My nail polish goes bad. Bye.
The lazy girl did not help the hearth either. Then she came across a lamb that was dirty, like black coal, and the lamb asked her to give her a bath.
Ew, disgusting. Get out of my way, you dirty thing.
The lazy girl ran away.
What a lazy little lamb. Can't even wash itself.
And came upon a huge house. The lazy girl took advantage of this and asked for work from the 7 fairies who were the owners of the house. The head fairy asked her to stay for a year and clean only 6 rooms.
Don't forget, young girl, you will never ever be able to enter the 7th room.
The lazy girl reluctantly cleaned all 6 rooms for months. However, one day she gave in to her curiosity and entered the 7th room. Instead of gold and silver coins, there were bees and bats inside. The bees stung the lazy girl in such a way that she was scarred all over. She was very hurt. The girl immediately left there and started running towards the house. As she ran, she saw the lamb, which she turned down her request for help. The lamb was covered with pearls. The girl wanted to catch the lamb to get some pearls, but the lamb ran away from her. The girl continued walking and was very tired. At that moment, she came across the hearth that she turned down that requested her help. There were loaves of fresh warm bread on the hearth. When the girl wanted to buy a slice of bread, the hearth got hot, and lazy girl's hands got burned. When the lazy girl ran away from there, she came across the tree, which she had refused to help. There were bunches of fruit on the branches of the tree. When the lazy girl tried to pick some fruit, the tree leaned to the right. The girl ran to the right, but the tree leaned to the left this time. Tired of running around, the lazy girl finally gave up on getting the fruit. She walked non-stop for 2 full days and finally got home. Her father and sister saw her returning home in dirty clothes and injured, and they were very surprised. The lazy girl told what happened to her with great regret.
Oh, and I can't believe it. I hurt so much. Oh.
My dear sister, now you understand how important it is to be hardworking.
Remember, girl, when you are honest and hardworking in this life, you will be rewarded for sure.
After that day, the lazy girl has not been idle and lazy since. The 2 sisters both worked hard and were rewarded well. And this small family had happy, productive, and peaceful days throughout their lives.
Once upon a time, in a land far away, lived a very sad witch. The reason for her sadness was that she would never have a child. However, if she had a child, she would be able to pass on her deep secrets and powers to her. And so she made up her mind. She would take away the first baby girl that was ever to be born and raise her as if it were hers, away from everything.
The magic of evil shall forever take over the world!
Not so far from where the witch lived a couple who made a living by farming. One day, the man was surprised with the amazing news. the lady gave the good news to her husband.
We're having a baby.
Unfortunately, their happiness didn't last very long. The young lady got very ill. As the days went on by, she began losing weight. If she didn't get well soon, she was going to lose the baby. Her husband tried every medicine and beneficial herb that there was, but couldn't cure her. The last doctor he went to told him that there was only one way that his wife would get well.
There is an evil-hearted witch. She's the only one that has this healing herb. She's your only help.
The man gathered all his courage and went over to the witch's castle and knocked on the door.
Fearlessly knocking on my door? You must have an important matter.
My wife is ill, and she's getting worse. I've heard you have the best remedy for such situations as ours.
Really? And why should I help you?
I beg you, please don't reject me. My wife is pregnant. If I don't heal her, I will lose them both.
After hearing his situation, the witch changed her mind and decided to help him.
If you say so, I'll help you.
The witch gave him the healing herb.
Give a piece of this herb's leaves to your wife every day. You will see that she will heal.
The young man was very happy now. He ran back home. His wife ate a piece of the leaves every day. She began to heal and gain the weight she had lost. But the herb the witch had given finished a few days later. The young lady's illness began all over again. This time round, it got worse in a shorter period of time. Having no choice, her husband knocked on the witch's door once again. The witch knew that he would be back. She took out a bag of seeds.
These are the seeds that healed your wife. You should get these seeds and plant them in your garden, and you will be able to save your wife and child. But I have one condition. If you have a baby girl, you will give her to me.
I can never accept such an offer.
Suit yourself.
The witch shut the door on his face. Sadly, the man returned back home. He wasn't able to tell anything to his wife. As the days went on by, the young lady got worse. The baby was now in danger. The young man had trouble sleeping now. If he didn't accept the witch's offer, he was going to lose both his wife and his baby. But if he accepted the offer and ended up having a baby boy, both his wife and son would survive. And so he made up his mind and headed to the witch's castle. He accepted her offer and went back home with the bag of seeds. He planted the seeds the witch had given him. The seeds grew in a very short period of time. The young man helped his wife eat the leaves he had grown. As the days went on by, his wife got better. She had fully recovered and gave birth to a healthy baby. But the young man was facing his fear now.
It's a beautiful baby girl.
The same day, they were having a big celebration at the king's palace. The queen had given birth to a baby boy. The king was very happy, because now after him, he had a prince that could lead the country. The people loved their good-hearted king and queen very much. No one would ever know that one day in the future, the lives of these two babies would meet. The husband and wife's happiness did not last very long. Right on that same day, the witch came and asked for the baby. The couple handed over their baby in tears and said their farewells.
Oh, my baby. Oh, baby. She's mine now, but don't worry, I will take good care of her. And I will name her Rapunzel.
The witch took the baby to the tower. This tower was hidden in the deep forest. The witch went up the stairs to the very top of the tower. They arrived at the room on the top floor. The witch placed the baby in her crib.
Rapunzel, my beautiful baby.
Thinking that the witch was her mother, Rapunzel continued living her life in this tower. During daytime, she would go down the tower, play in the front yard, and at night time, she would go back up to her little room at the top of the tower. The witch never cut Rapunzel's golden hair. She brushed Rapunzel's hair every single day. The little girl liked this very much. Years had passed, Rapunzel had grown, and now she was a teenager. One day, the witch approached the tower and called out to Rapunzel.
Rapunzel, my daughter, let your golden hair down.
Rapunzel let her golden hair down. Her hair could reach the ground now.
Nice.
The witch went up the tower stairs, then stood at the top of the staircase and began to whisper magical words. Suddenly, the stairs began to crumble.
No spell in the world will ever be able to bring these stairs back again.
Watching all that was happening with wonder, Rapunzel knew that she could never get out of the tower again. The witch was using Rapunzel's hair to go down the tower every day, and in the evening she would arrive at the bottom of the tower and call out to her.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel! Let your golden hair down, it's your mother!
After hearing her voice, Rapunzel would let her golden hair down. And so the witch would hold onto her hair and climb up.
Mother, why won't you allow me to leave the tower? Why do you keep me up here?
Oh, my darling girl, I love you so much. I'm just trying to protect you from the evil of the world.
Rapunzel spent all her days singing and talking to the birds that would visit her. Back at the king's palace, the prince that was born on the same day as Rapunzel had grown up and become a young man. Now the old and sick king wished that his son, the prince, would carry his father's throne, marry a princess and give him a grandchild. Although many princesses came by the palace, the prince couldn't see any of them as his beloved wife. In the end, the prince went on a long journey, hoping to find his real love. When he arrived at the corner of the forest where the tower was hidden, he asked the men,
I had never come to this forest before. Let's go through the forest. Maybe we'll find a shortcut. My prince, this forest is magical. It's said that whoever enters never gets out. You said it yourself. This might just be a rumor. Let's go and see for ourselves.
The prince and his men entered the forest. The prince was rather sure of himself, but his men not so much. A while later, the tower where Rapunzel lived appeared. Later, they heard the singing voice of Rapunzel.
La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
What a beautiful voice!
After making his way closer to the tower, the prince noticed Rapunzel singing. For a while, he watched her in admiration. Right at that moment, the witch appeared and yelled out to Rapunzel.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel, let your golden hair down.
Hearing the witch calling, Rapunzel let her beautiful golden hair down. And so the witch held on her hair and climbed up.
So, her name is Rapunzel.
The prince decided to stick around the tower for some time and watched Rapunzel. The witch climbed down Rapunzel's hair every morning, and at night climbed back up again.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel, let your golden hair down.
In the end, the prince gathered all his courage, and on a day where the witch wasn't present, he approached the tower and called out,
Rapunzel! Rapunzel!
This was the first time Rapunzel was hearing another voice other than her mother. At first, she was a little hesitant, but later she was very curious as to who this might be. And so she looked down from the window. She saw a young man looking at her from below.
Who are you? And how do you know my name?
I am the prince of this kingdom. I heard your amazing voice and I wanted to meet you.
I'm not allowed to speak to strangers. Please go away.
I mean no harm, I promise. Please come down so that we can talk.
I can't. There is no staircase.
Right that instant, Rapunzel saw her mother coming.
Hurry! You must get away from here. Mother shouldn't see you.
The prince quickly hid behind the trees. Once the witch reached the tower, she called out. And once Rapunzel let her golden hair down, she climbed up. The prince began visiting every day. They were now friends with Rapunzel, and she now knew that the prince meant no harm, and so she let her golden hair down. The prince grabbed onto her beautiful blonde hair and climbed up. Rapunzel was extremely excited. It was someone she had never seen before, standing right there in front of her.
Why is your mother holding you in prison in this tower?
Mother tells me that the world is filled with evil. She's trying to protect me.
But this is ridiculous. Why would a mother lock her daughter away in such place? Yes, it's true that there's evil out there, but there's also beauty amongst it all.
Rapunzel was curious to see if what the prince was saying was true, and all she ever wanted to do was see and get to know the world outside. At last, they made up their minds and wanted to run away together. That night, when the witch returned to the tower, she saw that Rapunzel had let her golden hair down.
Rapunzel saw me coming. She has let her hair down.
After climbing up the tower, what does she see? Rapunzel's hair cut and tied up on a piece of metal, but Rapunzel was nowhere to be seen. At that moment, she realized that Rapunzel had ran away. Rapunzel cut her own hair and hung it on a piece of metal. With the help of her hair, she and the prince both climbed down the tower.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel! How dare you betray me!
Meanwhile, the prince and Rapunzel left the magic forest behind. The story about the forest being magical was something the witch had made up, because she didn't want anyone finding Rapunzel. Rapunzel and the prince finally arrived at the palace. Taking Rapunzel with him, the prince approached the king and queen. And what does he see? The king standing in front of him, healthy as ever.
Father, you look very healthy. How did this happen?
A healing herb cured your father, my son. Let me see. What was it called? Oh, yes. Rapunzel.
Rapunzel?
The prince began telling all that had happened to him. Then the king told him that an old couple had given him the herb. Then he began telling the story about the evil-hearted witch and the harm she had caused to the old couple by taking their baby on the day she was born. The prince and Rapunzel made their way to the old couple's house. As soon as the lady saw this golden-haired girl, she knew it was her baby Rapunzel that was taken from her.
My daughter! My daughter! Oh, finally,
I have found you.
Listening to the true story from the beginning, Rapunzel now had reunited with her parents. Soon after, the prince and Rapunzel were married, and they lived happily ever after. So, what happened to the witch that was stuck in the tower? The king captured the witch and locked her up in the tower, and put guards at the bottom of the tower so that she couldn't escape. Along with the witch, her witchcraft and all her deepest secrets disappeared. Once upon a time, there lived 3 piglets with their mother in a small house. It was time for them to leave their home and learn to live on their own. Their mother called the 3 piglets next to her.
My dear children, the time has come for you to go out into the world. Go and start your new lives. But don't ever forget, whatever you do in this world, do the best you can. This is the only and the best way to stay alive.
A little sad with a bit of excitement, the 3 little piglets said their goodbyes to their mummy and were on their way. After a while, they found some piece of land where they could build their own home. The youngest piglet was determined to build his home with straw. He thought this was the easiest and the fastest way to build a home. That way, he had heaps of time to play. The youngest of them all finished his house in one day. He yelled out to the other piglets,
Hey you guys, I'm already finished!
The eldest piglet had a look at the house.
Okay, but this house doesn't look steady at all. How will we protect ourselves from the wolf?
The youngest piglet didn't take any notice of his brother.
Don't worry, nothing will happen.
Okay, don't say I didn't warn you.
The middle piglet decided to make his house out of wood. From the branches he had collected in the woods, he decided to build a little cubby house. His house took exactly 3 days to finish. This house was a bit more steady than the one with straw. The eldest piglet walked over towards him.
My dear brother, you've done a great job, but this doesn't look safe at all. Is this house going to protect us from the wolf?
The middle piglet answered,
Don't worry, this house is very safe.
Okay, don't say I didn't warn you.
While the 2 little piglets were having a great time in their newly built homes, the eldest of them all was constantly working because he was building a home from bricks and rocks. The other piglets thought that his effort was useless. All they did was play around and kill time.
Why would you bother with this when you can quickly finish like we have?
How scared is he?
The eldest piglet didn't bother listening to them. He worked for 1 whole week and managed to finish his house made out of bricks and rocks. A day later, a hungry wolf arrived near their home. He first stood in front of the house made of straw. The little piglet was resting in his house made of straw. The wolf knocked on the door.
Open the door and let me in. If you don't, I'll huff and puff and blow your house in.
You can't do anything to me. My house is steady enough.
And so the wolf huffed and puffed, and he blew his house in. But with great effort, the little piglet managed to get away. And off he ran over to his brother's house made from tree branches. He knocked on the door, and when the middle piglet opened the door, the little piglet threw himself inside the house.
Hey, close the door. The wolf can come in here. Don't worry, he can't do anything to us in this house.
After a while, the wolf came by the second piglet's wooden house and yelled inside.
Open the door and let me in. If you don't, I'll huff and puff and blow your house in.
You can't blow my house in!
And so the wolf huffed and puffed, and he blew his house in and brought it down. Both piglets ran to the third piglet's house and barely got away from the wolf.
Brother, the wolf is going this way. What are we going to do?
The oldest piglet answered, very sure of himself.
Don't worry. The wolf cannot come in this house.
A little later, the starving wolf came by the third piglet's house of bricks and stone and yelled to the 3 piglets.
Open the door and let me in. If you don't, I'll huff and puff and blow your house in.
Don't you even try, you bad wolf. You cannot come in this house.
The wolf got very angry. He huffed and puffed, but nothing happened. He could not bring his house down. He tried and tried, but he couldn't move one single brick. Finally, being exhausted, the wolf decided to try another way to go in. He saw the chimney up on the roof and started to climb. Realizing that the wolf was going to climb up on the roof and come down the chimney, the piglet quickly lit up the fireplace right under the chimney and put a big bucket of water on the wood. The wolf barely climbed up the chimney and threw himself in and went straight into the boiling bucket.
Help! Help! I'm burning! Save me! Help!
Finally, being free from the wolf, the piglets hugged each other with joy. The 3 piglets went to their mother's house the next day to tell her all that had happened. The youngest one came next to his mother.
You were right, Mummy. Whatever we did in this world, we have done it to our best. If you really work for something, it will be a success.
From that day on, the 2 piglets were never lazy. They worked hard like their big brother and lived a happy and safe life. Once upon a time, right on the edge of the forest, lived a golden-haired girl. This golden yellow-haired girl's name was Goldilocks. She had such amazing and admirable locks that everyone who saw her was mesmerized. But despite her sweetness, at times she could be a rather naughty little girl. Every time she stepped out to play, her mother would have to warn her to behave. Darling, please stay in the backyard and don't go into the woods. Deep into the forest in a shack lived a bear family. A broad-shouldered papa bear, a medium-sized mama bear, and a baby bear. Mama Bear always woke up early to prepare oatmeal porridge for breakfast. One morning, Baby Bear woke up earlier than usual and wanted to eat his porridge. But it was too hot.
Mama, can we go out for a walk in the woods until our porridge cools down?
Mama, Papa and Baby Bear left their porridges on the table and went out for a walk. The same morning, Goldilocks was playing in the backyard while waiting for her mum to prepare breakfast. But she was so bored of playing in the same yard all the time, and she was very curious about the deep parts of the forest.
What would happen if I just went for a walk?
She looked around, seeing that no one was around. She began running into the forest. When she got tired, she stopped and looked around.
What a beautiful forest! Flowers, trees. Why didn't I come here before?
She began to walk deeper into the forest. In the meantime, walking around with his family, the baby bear saw a beehive on the branch of a tree.
Such a big beehive. I'm sure it is full of honey. Papa, can we eat some honey?
No, my boy, that belongs to the bees. It's their home.
We can't go in anybody's home and eat their food. It's not right.
You're right. I think I will have to wait until we go home for my breakfast.
Meanwhile, Goldilocks walked all by herself for such a long time. Finally, she got lost. She tried to turn back but could not make out the right way. She got really tired and hungry. She was almost in tears of her tiredness. She walked a little more, and finally she came to the end of the road. And she came across the house of the bear family in between the trees. She quietly approached the house, walked around it, but she could not see anyone. She knocked on the door, but nobody answered. Then she looked through the window. She saw 3 hot steamy plates on the table. She went back to the door again, and this time she knocked hard. The door opened. Goldilocks was overjoyed. She looked in and yelled, "Anybody home?" When there was no answer, she entered. She approached the table. On the table there were 3 bowls of porridge, 1 big, 1 medium-sized, and 1 small. Because she was so hungry, she wanted to eat the big one first. But the moment she put the spoon in her mouth, her mouth burnt, because the porridge was still too hot. She immediately reached the medium bowl, but she did not want to eat this either, because it was too cold. It's too cold! Finally, she dipped her spoon into the smallest one.
This porridge is neither cold nor too hot. It's exactly the way I want it.
So she ate all the porridge in the smallest bowl. When she was done with her breakfast and felt full, she wanted to sit on one of the 3 chairs in front of the chimney to rest for a while. One of the 3 chairs was a big one, the other one medium, and the last one was a small one. First she tried to sit on the big one, but she couldn't even climb on it. She tried the medium one, but this one was very hard. It was very uncomfortable. Finally, she sat down on the smallest one. This one was very comfortable and exactly her size. But suddenly, the chair broke into pieces with a very loud noise. Goldilocks found herself on the floor and she did not know what to do. She walked through to the next door, and here there were 3 beds. A big, a medium-sized, and a small one. First she tried the big bed. This one was too big for her and also too hard. Second one was a little bigger than her size, but also too soft. So she lied down on the 3rd and smallest bed. This one was exactly her size, and it was very comfortable. So comfortable that Goldilocks fell asleep right away. Whilst Goldilocks was sleeping, the bear family came back home. Papa Bear had some wood with him that he collected for the chimney. Mama Bear had fresh berries, and Baby Bear just could not wait to have his porridge. When they arrived home, they went straight to the table. Papa Bear had a look at his bowl and was so angry.
Somebody tasted my porridge.
Mama Bear also looked at her bowl.
Somebody also tasted my porridge.
And when Baby Bear looked at his bowl, he began to cry.
That somebody also tasted my oatmeal porridge. Not only tasted it, also ate it all.
They got up and started to look around. Papa Bear noticed his chair in front of the chimney.
Somebody sat on my chair. Look, it's on a different spot.
And then it was Mama Bear's turn to complain.
Somebody also sat on my chair.
And just like before, the baby bear began to cry again.
Somebody also sat on my chair, but broke it too.
The bear family curiously went to the bedroom.
Somebody lied on my bed. Look how it's undone.
Somebody lied on mine too.
Somebody lied on my bed too, then is still sleeping in it.
Papa Bear walked next to Baby Bear's bed and saw that someone really was sleeping in his bed. Slowly lifted up the blankets, and they were really surprised to see a little girl sleeping in the bed.
What is a little girl doing in our house?
Tell this little girl to get out of my bed now.
Waking up to Baby Bear's crying, Goldilocks saw 3 bears in front of her and she ran out of the room in great fear. She went out of the house and started running without looking back. She got breathless from running, but she did not stop. And she didn't even know which way to go. Right at that moment, she saw her parents coming across from the forest. When she didn't end up going back home, they went out looking for her. Goldilocks was very happy to see her parents. She ran and hugged her mother.
Oh, Mummy!
We were so worried. Are you okay?
From now on, I will always listen to you. I will never leave without letting you know.
Goldilocks hugged her parents really tight. From that day on, as she promised, she always listened to her parents and did nothing without having their permission. She was a well-behaved and kind girl forever.
Adisebaba.